This question is in the name of the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This question is to the Prime Minister and asks, does he stand by all of the answers given on his behalf to oral question number 5 on 29 May 2013?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think the member's got the question wrong.
Order. On this occasion, could the member please repeat the question as
Speaker,
worded in the order?
I made the mistake of using the draft.
Order.
I know it's a big surprise that I make a mistake.
We all on occasions make mistakes. We don't often expect many from the Right Honourable member.
Thank you very much, Speaker.
Question number 1,
Indeed,
Right Honourable Winston
Indeed, you've been so generous. And I'll read it again. Oh, quieten down, John. Does he stand by all of the answers given on his behalf to oral question number 5 on 30 May 2013?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, now the member asks, yes.
Order. Supplementary question, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Given that his Chief of Staff Eagleson told him as Prime Minister on 29 May of email correspondence between Peter Dunn and Andrea Vance, and that Mr Dunn was not complying with the inquiry, why did the Prime Minister state on 30 May that, and I quote him, "I do not know how Mr Henry is conducting his inquiry," in quotes?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, because that was correct.
Supplementary question, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
I can see how his brain works. Was his Chief of Staff Eagleson telling the truth last Friday when Mr Eagleson said that he had, subsequent to 23rd May, quotes, no further role in authorising or influencing the release of any further information, in quotes?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes.
Supplementary question, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
How can that answer be possibly correct when it is a matter of public record that Mr Eagleson was in frequent contact with Mr Dunn's office in the period 27 May to the 4th of June regarding the release of email correspondence, a fact that the Prime Minister has confirmed?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, what's clear is whether the emails were released by Mr Dunn's office were a matter for Mr Dunn and a matter for his Chief of Staff. What my Chief of Staff made clear was that my expectations were that all ministers would comply with the inquiry.
Point of order, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Speaker, that last question challenged the answer to the previous question as to its correctness. And the previous question was related to Mr Eagleson's claim of having no further role in authorising or influencing the release of any further information. That's the gist of it, and that's what I'm asking. How can you reconcile what he said with the Prime Ministerial information reached to the public of the 27th to 4th of June contact and role and involvement? Now, his answer, sir, has no connection to that, though it would superficially seem like he'd given some answer.
Order. The essence of the question is how can that answer be correct, given some further information that the member asked. Does the Prime Minister have anything further to add to the answer?
Well, Mr Speaker, at the start of the inquiry, Mr Eagleson wrote on my behalf to all ministers and staff advising that the expectation was that they would comply. That position never changed. So if Mr Eagleson did that, he did that sometime before when the member's asking.
Point of order, Right Honourable Winston.
Mr Speaker, we are allowed in our system of government and constitution to ask questions to seek to get at the truth. You have the Chief of Staff saying no role at all after 23rd of May, and the Prime Minister on record saying from the 27th of May to the 4th of June all this involvement was participated in by my Chief of Staff. Now, one of those statements can't be true, and the Prime Minister is making no attempt to tell us which one is true.
On this occasion, I don't agree with the final point that the member's raising. The member's question was, how can that answer be true? On 2 occasions now, the Prime Minister has attempted to justify how he thinks that answer can be correct, and that is for the Prime Minister's responsibility, not mine. On this occasion, the member, I understand, has one further supplementary left I will give him an additional supplementary to see whether he can tease out the answer he may require. Supplementary question, right, order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do appreciate that. Can I ask the Prime Minister then, this first question, second question rather, does he truly expect the public to believe that the Chief Executive of the DPMC, Andrew Killawhite, was involved in Henry inquiry-related discussions to facilitate the release of phone records and email correspondence, but did not tell him as Prime Minister about this for a whole month?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes.
Supplementary,
supplementary question.
Order. Supplementary question.
Yes.
Right Honourable Winston Peters.
When Mr. Eagleson said that he had no further role in authorising or influencing the rest of any further information after the 23rd of May, how was it that he got involved in the frequent contact with Mr. Dunn's office in the period 27 May to the 4th of June?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's quite clear. The statement made by Mr. Eagleson was in relation to authorising, asking parliamentary services to authorise the data, not correspondence or discussion between Mr. Eagleson and Mr. Eadie.
A point of order, Right Honourable Winston.
You recall that I used the phrase authorising or influencing the release. The Prime Minister goes straight for authorising, and we all know it was about influencing the release that we're after. Well, OK.
Order. This is a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, the reality of it all is that, one, Mr. Eagleson is admitting that he was authorising or influencing at a certain date, the 23rd of May, and then he says that neither authorisation or influence, according to the Prime Minister, affected his 27 May to 4 June relations with Mr. Dunn's office. So that is just beyond credibility.
Order, and I have given a good amount of time for the member to raise a point of order, which is in effect a debate on the answer that's been given. I rule that the Prime Minister has adequately addressed the question that was raised. Question number 2, David Shearer.
Mr. Speaker, to the Prime Minister, does he stand by his statement that he is, quote, deeply concerned about the Fonterra whey protein scare? And if so, is he